Continuing watching more Christmas movies, I watched a double feature, and we're going to start with Die Hard. I had this weird relationship with Die Hard when I first started watching it because, I saw the fifth movie in theaters, and that was the first one I saw, was the fifth one. And then the second one I saw was Die Hard with a Vengeance, the third movie. I watched that years later, and it wasn't until my first and only year of university that I was watching with some buddies, and they put on Die Hard. Now, this is a film group, right? We're all here to study film, and I'm the only person that hadn't seen it yet. I love the movie. I watch it every Christmas, every December since then. But yeah, I've only seen Die Hard. I've seen Die Hard 5, 3, and 1 in that order, and never seen the even movies. So I know that the number 2 is also a Christmas movie too. So I'm pretty sure it is. So I probably should get around to watching those. Talking about just Die Hard, though, let's get into the positives, which it's going to be hard for me to find some mixed or negative opinions about this film. My first positive about this movie is that I find this to be one of those perfect movies when you watch it. There's those bottle movies that, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Die Hard. They're movies that when you watch them in that time frame, just in that window, that 2-hour frame, you are so immersed it becomes it's a perfect movie. And of course, I have American Beauty to say, this is an analysis of a perfect film, of the perfect film. But that's if you go into the deep intricacies when you actually start looking into it, all the behind the scenes and everything like that. Because again, when it comes to Die Hard or Jurassic Park or Back to the Future, even if there's flaws, you literally don't see them the first time coming around because these are perfect films. Every single time you watch them, you just have a good time. You never see any downsides about them, and that's what makes those flawless movies just in that bottle period.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
I'm not the biggest fan of action films. That's one of the reasons why I didn't see Die Hard for so long. Same with Mission Impossible. I didn't watch Mission Impossible till I was maybe 2021, and now it's one of my favorite action franchises. But I didn't watch them because I don't like protagonists that can't be hurt. When you need to have stakes, you need to have consequence, you need to have thrills, and you can only get that type of suspense when your main character is killable. That's the whole thing about horror films that's nice, that even if you have a main character, they're going to get hurt throughout horror films, and that's especially when you get a film like Saw or The Collector, they get hurt so much throughout it that it makes it such a good experience watching it because there's so much suspense involved because you're following that main character. So when you have a main character that's actually able to get hurt, that means wonders for the audience. I haven't seen any Fast and Furious movie or anything like that, but Die Hard, this guy, John McClane, is killable. He gets hurt. John McClane not only gets hurt physically in this movie, but emotionally, and that's what's so good about him. You get the idea that, he's trying to win his wife back after she's moved off to LA. He lives in New York, she lives in LA, and she moved off about 6 months ago. And he was kind of hoping that she would fail at her job and then come crawling kind of back to New York. And instead, she's thriving. She's not even using the McClane last name anymore. She's using her original last name, her maiden name. And this stuff hurts him on an emotional level. He doesn't know if he'll be able to get his wife back and be able to get his family all back together because his kids are in LA too.
She had a good job, turned into a great career.
Now that means she had to move here.
You're very fast, Argyle.
So why didn't you come?
So not only do you have these emotional wounds that are hitting John, but you get the physical wounds too. He's getting in constant battles. Everybody knows that he was running off without his shoes when the whole hostage situation went down. So near the end of the film, at the last 30 minutes, he ends up crashing through a window and gets glass all over his bare feet. And in this moment, he seems like he's ready to give up. He's ready to die here. He seems like he kind of knows he's bleeding out. He's in pain, and there's 5 more guys left, but it's still too much for him to handle. And he's telling Carl over the phone. He's telling Carl to make sure that his wife gets the message that, I really like the line that John says that she's heard me say I love you 1,000 times, but she's never heard me say I'm sorry. And that, again, his emotional wounds too.
I want you to tell her that John said that he was sorry. Okay? You got that, man?
Yeah, I got it, John. But you can tell her that yourself.
But John's not the only character in this movie that makes this movie good, and that's another reason. We got Carl, the guy he's talking to. He's the police officer who accidentally shot a little, probably like a 15, teenage boy while he didn't realize it was a toy gun or something, and he shot him. And so now he won't withdraw his gun. And clearly, like, it's a setup and a payoff later in the film. But Carl's really fun to listen to throughout the entire movie, and especially as he's trying to help John, especially when he's trying to navigate throughout the FBI and the chief of police. John's wife is a good character. We get a complete sense of her. She's a powerful woman. She didn't let John run her over. She moved when she needed to. And now she's thriving in this career. And it's fun to watch her. She's in a small supporting role, but especially throughout the hostage situation, she's always like, "Oh, that must be John pissing them off," and it's funny enough. And she does realize that she needs to take control of the hostage situation too by making sure she talks to Hans Gruber and says like, "Hey, people need to use the washroom. People are probably gonna need to eat soon," stuff like that. Where it works out pretty well. She's a strong character and she does her own stuff in the plot that doesn't just make her useless. And Ellis has this, like, douchey coworker that the first time he meets John, he's just snorting coke, and John's like, "You missed something," or anything like that. He's really fun because he reminds me of Buddy Kane. He just exuberates this douchey asshole vibe, full of himself, and that narcissism. It's compelling. It makes you glued to the screen to watch him. It's just like, how is this guy gonna act next?
Hey, business is business. You use a gun, I use a fountain pen. What's the difference?
And people argue if this is really a Christmas movie, and I think obviously it is. It's got Christmas music all throughout it. The score, it has Christmas influences from other, like, traditional Christmas songs inside of it as well. The villains, Hans Gruber, which an amazing villain we'll get to soon. We have 12 of them. The 12 Days of Christmas. Like, it's so much fun. It's a Christmas party. Like everything throughout it. It like, ho ho ho, now I have a machine gun. So many Christmas references, and it really does get me into the holiday spirit. I don't know why people say it did come out in the summer, but I don't know why people say it's not a Christmas movie. It definitely has the vibe, and it goes quite well with it. If you want to get into the holiday spirit, this is a movie to watch.
So you got any Christmas music?
This is Christmas music.
John McClane and Han Gruber's relationship is what keeps this movie really interesting, because you got this just classic hero versus villain dynamic, and they really go well with each other. The matchup between these two works so well because they're complete opposites. And Hans Gruber as a villain himself is my favorite type of villain. My favorite top two types of villain. Number 2 is the cocky, overconfident, like, super strong fighter. The villain who knows that he can beat you in any fight and he loves doing it. That's a really fun guy to watch. You see that, like, I don't know, maybe like you get like Twister from Ip Man, or you get the bad guy from Legend of the Drunken Master with Jackie Chan. But my favorite type of villain is the suave, sophisticated villain who's the know-it-all, rich, it doesn't have to get his hands dirty. This villain is the most compelling one to watch for me, because if you do it right, just like with Hans Gruber, oh my god, it's probably the best part of the movie. I love watching Hans Gruber. One of my favorite scenes is the small one where just, Hans is taking, the head of, Nakatomi Towers, and he's taking them down, and he just compliments his suit.
Nice suit. John Phillips, London. I have the tool myself. Rumor has it Arafat buys his there.
Here we see how smart and sophisticated Hans Gruber is, and he's got money too. This guy is not some poor dude. And it's not like this arrogance can't hurt Hans Gruber either. I really enjoy that when John and Hans actually meet up. John has a pistol and Hans doesn't. And Hans immediately starts freaking out in an American accent because they're foreign terrorists. Terrorists, they're robbers in the movie actually. But, they're foreign terrorists. So he's now talking in an American accent to trick John that he's just one of the party goers just go up on the roof try to look for help. And this is good because obviously Han just immediately thinks that doing this American accent is actually going to trick John. But John he's a smart cop, and we see that he's a smart guy. He's resourceful. He's not just going to be tricked this easily. He's not gullible. So the idea that John actually, at one point when he hands Hans a gun, he hands him his pistol, Hans immediately goes over and tries to shoot John with it. And I love John just like,
I'm going to count to 3.
Yeah. Like you did with Takagi. Oops. No bullets. You think I'm fucking stupid, Hans?
You know, Hans wasn't able to pull one over John, and it's the fact that there is this cat-mouse relationship, but, you know, this mouse is a little smarter than the cat thinks. What else can I say? The main character, the side characters, the villains, the main antagonist, the Christmas vibe. Like, this whole movie, it's just perfect. It's a great way to spend Christmas, great way especially to watch it. It's not that bad of a family movie, you know. It's not, you can watch it especially with kids who are like at least 9, 10 or older, you know. It's not that bad. It's not that much sexual nudity or anything like that. So it's a good movie. It's fun, and it's just there to get you into that holiday spirit. Go ahead, check out Die Hard. Don't be like me, and especially if you don't like action movies, this is an action movie that you will enjoy. Don't be like me and just avoid watching it until someone actually has to force you to sit down. Put this movie on yourself. You're not going to regret it. Alright, everybody, well, thank you for watching this review. If you guys haven't seen my Gremlins review, go check that one out. I made that one a couple days ago. And now, I'm going to move on to the double feature, the second film. And the second film is a little spookier than this one was.